Howdy y'all, it's Matt at Pegtown Pines. Today I'm making up pitas. Don't do any outside work really much this time of year, so today it's pitas. My pita recipe is a pretty simple recipe. Calls for 2 teaspoons of sugar. The funny thing is I don't make these a whole lot, but I just bought a pita press. We'll see if it's easy or not. I probably should have tried the pita press before I filmed it, but hey, learn somehow. Okay, so that was a couple teaspoons of sugar, and this is 2 teaspoons of yeast. Probably need to pay more attention. I should have probably measured all my ingredients out ahead of time so I don't screw up, but hey, you guys don't mind watching a screw up now and then, do you? I go back and forth between yeast sometimes. I don't remember which yeast this is, but I know my next batch of yeast is an instant yeast. I always stir up my yeast in the water a little bit. I don't always give it that much time. I know my yeast is good. I use it often enough, so I don't worry about it. But if you're worried about your yeast, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you'll see if it's going. And this, I always mix these ingredients up first. The rest of the ingredients I mix up with the dry. So we're gonna get the flour out, and the flour on this recipe is 3 cups of flour. I also go by weight. It's 16 ounces, 16.5 ounces to be exact. So what I do is I tend to weigh almost all of my flour. You don't really have to. The biggest thing is if you don't weigh it, you should probably always not add all your flour into the mixture. You can add it a little as it goes. And at this recipe, sometimes I still have to add a little more flour. It's always better to have to add a little more flour. So there is 16.5 ounces, 3 cups of flour. I use pizza flour. It's a high gluten pizza flour. You can use all-purpose. You could use bread flour. I've heard all-purpose is better, but I don't know. I use my pizza flour, high gluten flour, in everything. I just like it. Now our spices that are going to go into the dry ingredients is we've got salt, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then I do add in my pitas, some onion powder and some garlic. So we're going to do the onion powder first. Quarter teaspoon. Garlic is 3/4 of a tablespoon. So truth is, you can go less if you don't like that much garlic. Some things I'll err on the side of heavy garlic, and other sides less. The pitas I try not to go too much. So okay. You could probably cancel out the sugar in this recipe or go less. I don't worry about it normally too much, but it doesn't hurt to go less. My bread recipe does no sugar, but this is a pita. This is calling for 2 tablespoons of oil. That was a little heavy. Okay. Well, like I said, sometimes I'll let it sit there and work, but like I said, I'm not worried about my yeast. I know it's going to be working just fine. Now you could do this by mixing by hand. I don't think I would probably make these if I had to mix it by hand. So I started on its lowest just to get it stirred up. This is what I call a single batch. I generally like making double batches just due to the fact that a single batch takes a little while to get it get the dough mixed up. Sometimes I actually lift this a little bit. Once it starts going, it's fine. And then once it's mixed up enough, I'll turn the speed up. I like to see if it is going to need any more flour or anything. Occasionally I mess up and it's too much flour. That's always harder to fix, but it can be fixed. At this point, it's got most of its mixed in, so I'm going to go with a higher speed. And then I'm going to let this go for about 5 to 7 minutes, and I'll be back in a little bit. So it's been mixing for about 4 minutes or so. You can see the bowl is pretty clean. I did scrape the bowl down once after about 2 minutes in. You just turn your mixer off and scrape her down. This is a real small batch, so a bigger batch you got to be careful restarting it when you do that. This is not a commercial mixer, but so yeah, we got just I'd say this is just about done. We're going to call this done. It's nice and smooth, and I'll show you when we get it out of here. This is going to be a little on the sticky side. It's a little stickier than maybe I do. So you can see, a little on the sticky side. A little stickier than I would do for probably for pizza dough. I'll do pizza dough one of these days. It's pretty much the same mixture, except for that I don't add the spices. But you can see it pounces back. So what we're going to do now is, you make pitas. It's just a game of hurry up and wait. So I put a little olive oil in. I don't know if it needs to double, but it's probably going to sit here a good hour. It'll about double, and then we'll form it into shapes. Oops. What I'll do is from here you can cover it with a towel. You can cover it with foil or whatever. I'm just going to cover it with this. Quite often I use tin foil. That's about it for now. Okay, so it's pretty close to double enough for me. I had put it in my oven, turned the heat on just for a smidgen, and got a little bit warmth out of it. So now, oh yeah, that's nice dough. And I can smell the garlic, I'll tell you. If you could smell the garlic, you'd love it. Pretty simple now. Sometimes I flour the surface, sometimes I don't. It just depends how sticky it is. And since I measuring it up. Now the goal here is to get 8. And you can see I cut 7. And I think the last time I made this, I only got 7. I'll make it into 3.5 ounce balls. So you could measure and do it whichever way you wanted. It's funny too, sometimes I've done this and measure all this and then don't have much left over, but it looks like I'll get 8 out of this one, pretty close. Moving too fast probably, and that's 3.6. That's close enough. You know, like I said, this part I have the scale. I don't mind using it. So I go ahead and use it. And you can see I'm getting to my next piece rather quickly. So 3.6, close enough. I said, yep, see that one I didn't need to take any out. That's a 3.6. See, my little extra piece is now up to 3.1. We'll see what this gets me. Well, that was 3.5. What's that? 3.3. And this was actually, this one I just cut off was 3.7, so now it's 3.4. So take a little back. Like I said, I'm pretty weird on this. I like to just get them all close. It's not necessary. I should double check. Still getting to use my GoPro on the phone. I didn't double check well enough, but I guess I'm aiming down pretty good. So excuse my rough videos. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ball them up. I've seen different methods. I do it the same way I do pizza dough, but I've seen this pinching thing like this. To me, it's about the same way as I do it. It's just my way. It's easier because I've done it for years. I just roll it, and each time I turn it. And like I said, what we're doing now is we're just gonna get them all into balls, and then we're gonna let them rise a little bit, and then we'll patty them out. This will be my first attempt using my new pita press. It's actually more of a tortilla press, so I don't know if it's going to be work out. I think it was only 20 bucks or something like that. I used to just roll these out with a rolling pin and just turn them, but I thought I'd try that thing. And my biggest worry is that they're just going to want to spring back, so it might not be any faster. But so there we've got that done out, and for now I'm just going to cover them with that, and I'm probably giving it about another half an hour. I don't need to double. You do it again after you let them set out. You let them set out a little bit after you make them into circles too. But until then, I've already done a couple of them out. I've never used this press. I have to say, I thought the press would make it a little easier, but you know what? I will do a few with the press, but truthfully, rolling pin works better so far. This doesn't work terrible, but if I normally make them a little thinner than this, so this is the issue right now. It's like, well, that was a perfect circle, but to getting it the rest of the way is tough. Maybe I should have had a bigger press. Very possible. My goal was to get them close to the outside of this press, about an 8-inch circle. And I think truly I probably should have bought the 10-inch press. So if you buy one of these things and you want to do 8-inch, I'd buy the 10-inch. I can go around and squish these edges a little bit and sort of hand do it, but I'm just trying to learn this thing. Maybe it's just going to take me a little while. Before this, I used a rolling pin. And a rolling pin's not hard. You just keep turning and rolling. But I don't think I'm going to go get the rolling pin out. I thought about it, but so yeah. I just thought this might be a little faster, and that stretched out pretty good that time on that push. It might have to do with letting them rest more. I don't know. Maybe I need to flatten them and then let them rest. But I'm still learning. It's not hard. Pitas are pretty easy to make. Like I said, I'd probably skip the press if you're going to make them. If you end up making them a lot, if you want to get the press, yeah, fine. I had oiled this down. I actually seasoned the press. And decided that oil is probably the bad idea. Just rubbing everything with flour is probably the best idea. It's the same thing I do with a rolling pin. So, yeah. But of making pitas, this is probably the hardest part, or the most I'd say, the time process of it, getting them rolled out. And like I said, I'm thinking that the rolling pin for me, now maybe if I make it a little different type of dough, it'd work better, but pitas, well, this one might be a little bit of a small one. So I made these 3.5 ounce weights. It's very possible with this press, maybe I make them a 4 ounce and they'll be a little thicker pita. Maybe that 4 ounces will get the pressing done right. Like I said, maybe after using this for a while, maybe I gotta sit there and hold it for a certain length of time. But see, that did a pretty good job that time. So maybe using this press is just, well, see, it shrinks up pretty quick. Another thing is, they say in the press is to have it more that way. You follow your instructions on your press if you do get one. If I had the rolling pin down here, I'd show you how to do the rolling pin one, and I think you'd probably agree when I bother with the press. Now if I left it up there, now to be fair, they do have these papers. I didn't want to use them, but I might try them. Might make a little difference. Obviously this part sticking, that would make it. And I got this thing and came with it. I don't no instructions on how to use this, but I figured it was to put it on either top or the bottom. I guess if you do it on the top, let's try that. It won't stick to the top, at least that way, when you pull it back. But yeah, I don't know. Just go around and press the edges a little bit. I don't know where I got that little dark mark from. But, and like I said, I'm pressing it this way just a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, the only thing this keeps it from is sticking to the top. Yeah, I think more than anything, I think it's my dough just doesn't want to stretch. Maybe I need it a little bit, let it sit a little longer, but like I said, it's a new method for me, bringing you along on the learning process. The biggest thing I like about the press is it does keep them pretty consistent. The rolling pin does a good job too. The rolling pin, I normally stretch them out by hand and then finish with the rolling pin. I thought using it this way I'd get them a little rounder, which I don't know if that matters either. It's just pita bread, right? Well, I'm going to finish these off. There's only a couple left, and then I will bring you back when I cook them. They're going to sit on these pans for 15-20 minutes. You want them to let them rest a little bit. You know, when I'm making them, a lot of times when I'm rolling them, I roll the first one, let it sit a little bit, and then I start cooking them, start heating up my pan, and just roll them as I use them. I normally don't make them all ahead of time like this, because you have your wait time when you're cooking. So we'll and like I said, one of the other recipes I saw said let them sit a little while before you cook them. I just figured I'd try it this time that way, but I should have probably just gone back to my original method. But yep, I'm going to cut it off from here, bring you back later. Okay, they've sat a little bit and they're now time to get thrown in the pan. I think they're a little smaller than I usually make. I decided not to even bother to get a rolling pin and try to stretch them anymore. I think I'll just work each one. As one's cooking, I'll work the next one a little bit. Try to get the edges down. think I'm just going to need more practice on this press. Yeah, give it a couple more shots. Otherwise, yeah, if I'm only making, usually I don't make more than 16. Today I just did 8. If I'm only making 16, it's do the rolling pin. Okay. I've just got a little temporary gas burner set up down here. Sure, everybody does these a little different way. See, I got a thin spot in this one, so much for using the press. I got to adjust my heat down just a little more, maybe. The pan's warm now, so basically I'm going to cook it. I don't even know. I just cook them till they look right. I think it's about a minute and a half per side or so. Sometimes they'll bubble on me. They'll like a pita, like a pocket. Sometimes I get partial. I normally do it up on my stove upstairs. This one is a lot thicker. I can tell these are a lot thicker. So I'm probably going to stop and go get my rolling pin, or I'll just, I guess I can cook them a little longer. We're going to make a different product being this thick. So I guess I'm going to, my first experience with the press is I wouldn't waste your money on one. I'll just get a rolling pin out. And with the rolling pin, you just have to, you roll it, you turn it a quarter, and then you roll it and turn it again. And see, this is, because they're so thick, I'm going to go a little longer, but otherwise it's about ready to flip back on the other side. But there is a lot of flour in here. I can just tell, so I got to cook these a little longer than I normally do. But see, now, better look at the camera. Yeah, you can see it's nice golden brown. The other side probably got another. Yeah. And I usually flip it back and forth. I've heard some people that you throw it on 30 seconds and then go 30 seconds on the other. And I've heard other people do. Some people even do these in the oven, by the way, which in one sense is easier. You can do more at once. You can do a few at a time. But I can tell you, I'm gonna stop filming here in a second and go get my roller and come back and start again. But I want to roll these out a little bit more. I can tell by the thickness. They'll still be good. It's just bread, just pita bread. It'll still be good. But we're going to go ahead and get the rolling pin here in a second. So I'll see you in a little bit. And since so I don't know, maybe the idea is to use the press alongside the rolling pin. I'm still not sure if you don't have a press already, if it's worth buying. But yeah, the other thing I could try, and I'll have to try. Like I said, this was just an experiment today. I want you along. Next time, maybe I'll just press them out, let them sit for 10-15 minutes, and then put them back in the press again. That'll let them relax. But that's really the only problem I'm having with it is getting them to stay out there. So now this one's a lot bigger than the last one. It's not as thick. So I guess, it shouldn't have to cook it as long. Like I said, but see, in this first one I had a little thin spot there, and it's more noticeable when it's thicker. Around the render. But it really, I guess it depends what type of product you're trying to get. I don't make pitas that often. Usually it's around Christmas time. Sometimes it's gifts. I do enjoy them. And what I do is I don't eat them enough, so I just throw them in the freezer. Get them in some freezer bags, and they don't take long to thaw. I turn this grill off. It's cooled down a little bit. Not much, but it's... Yeah, the other side's starting to get brown a little bit. So, I got 2 rolled out. There's no rush to do the other ones. And I said earlier, half the time when I make pitas, I don't get them to pocket that much. It's not my game plan to do it. I have had them before. These probably won't pocket much just because of I had a little overhandling going through the press and then having to re-roll. But you can see I got wire racks out here. The wire racks out there to cool them off. Like I said, normally I do these upstairs on my stove. Sometimes I have 2 pans going. For recording, I figured I'd do it in the basement. This is my basement kitchen down here. I'm gonna scan over here a little bit. My mixer, air fryer. That oven in the corner works really good. Matter of fact, I've got Chex Mix in there now, but they're final drying. I don't think I need to put any more heat on them. That's my pizza oven. I want to upgrade my pizza oven. That works great. If you're doing a lot of baking, it's great. But for pizzas, I think I want a different oven. So we'll see. That will be. See, my talking, I almost burnt this one, but it's not burnt. It's just a little browner. So we'll get on to the next one here. I've had this issue before. That's why I got my rag right there. When there's so much flour on them, it tends to darken. So, yeah, I just use a warm rag if I need it. Okay. We're not going to film all of these. We're going to film doing some of these. Do a couple more. Using the rolling pin now is pretty nice. In the long run, that's what I end up doing. I might end up put them on the press them out once, get them nice and round, and then just finish them on with a rolling pin. The rolling pin gets the sides nice and done, nice and flat, so it's even. You don't want it to be like a pizza pie with the crust. I'm hoping to get one of these to air pocket on me. I'm not sure it will. Looks like I got to turn my heat down a little more. Okay. Yeah, that flour that pan's just maybe a little warmer than it needs to be. Got it turned down a little more. But that's why I keep the rag there. You can see I'm getting a little bubble, not much. Oh, yeah, see, I flipped it again. I think that heat is just a tad high. That's why I keep going down on it. But this showing the bubble up a little. This one's done enough. So we'll get it over there. I'm going to probably scrape that bottom after this next one. So that's all there is to it. It's easier than I made it out today. Obviously, like I said, I'm using a new press and I'm still learning this GoPro camera. But pitas are easy to make. They're cheap. If you don't do any baking, start off. Go look at my no knead recipe. That's the best thing to start with. It's easy, and you can get complicated with bread, but it's just bread. It's not really a complicated thing. Yeah, not sure what happened to my camera right there. Still had plenty of power on it. It turned itself off. It just waited about another minute. I probably wouldn't have turned it back on. But so this side's coming along. I just heard turned it down just a touch too far. You know, back in the day when I was in the pizza business, I picked this up easier. My fingers could handle the heat, but they're not as tough as they used to be. Let's see. Yeah, it's got some nice color on it. This one didn't puff either. So far, I've only had one puffer. I said, I think today they're handled a little too much. I got a lot of thin spots trying to get them off that press. So I guess I'm going to have to practice that press a lot. And like I said, next time I do it, I'm going to try all-purpose flour. I think that it'll press out a little better. Maybe I'll update this video once I try all-purpose. But if the all-purpose doesn't make it easier, then I'm going to have to say my initial thoughts of just doing it with a rolling pin. I don't know why I bought the press. I just, it'd be neat, you know, maybe it's a little faster. And I was wrong. Like I said, I was going to get this out of the middle here. I had sprayed this down with oil earlier, before I think I started filming. Normally don't put much oil on it, just a little bit. I only resprayed it because it burnt up so bad. But hey, okay, so see now, I'm going to take this one and roll the rolling pin over it a couple times. I'd get the press back out and try them, but that's what I said. I'm going to experiment. Maybe I need to press them halfway. And I found that if I press them just to a small amount, let them sit for another 5 minutes, and then press them again, maybe they'll be better. So, like I said, I'll probably update this video. Probably be a while. I don't make these things often, but for now, I will go ahead and put the recipe down. And if, like I said, most people don't use pizza flour, so they're just going to use all-purpose. And that's what I'll do on my next batch. I'll make it all-purpose. See if the press works out a little bit better. Let's see, how are we doing here? Okay. I didn't clean off that. Hey, it's just food. It's just bread. So I will come back shortly after they're all done. Until then. Okay, the final product. Got them all done. You can see they're very pliable. This is that small one. Just a little thicker in spots. You know, depends what you're having. This might be more preferable, but I like the big ones. These are great for turkey wraps, ham and cheese wraps. I've even made a breakfast wrap on them before. They freeze really well. You wouldn't freeze them for too long. But yeah, these are, as soon as they're still a little bit warm. I always get them a little thin in the middle. It's nice. Occasionally I get one that's not too thin in the middle. But they turned out really good. Despite my troubles with my press. As I said earlier, I think probably going to try the all-purpose flour next time and see if it works on the press a little. The other thing I'm going to try is just pressing them out, letting them sit for 5 minutes, and then finish pressing them. Like I said, I've never used a press. Thought it'd be easier. I don't really like standing with a rolling pin. This countertop is pretty high, so it's not too bad. But I guess that's probably the worst part about for me is rolling them out, just standing in one spot. I thought the press would speed them up. It doesn't appear that it's going to do that. So I wouldn't rule out the press. I'll do one more video, but even if it works out better, I don't know if I'd bother buying a press. It's really not that hard rolling them out. What I'm thinking is, since I have the press, maybe just using the press initially, stretching them halfways, and then let them rest, and then roller pin. But you get them rounder. But yeah, these might be a little rounder than I normally get mine, but like I said, they're just pita bread. You're eating them. It doesn't really have to be specifically round, but these might be a tad rounder than I normally make. But hey, if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe for future videos. I have a feeling I might get a few downvotes on this one, but hey, they turned out good. I haven't eaten one yet, but I can already tell you they're going to be delicious. Till next time, bye.